Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to That Infernal Noise, now part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Hello, everyone! We're back. We're tired, but we're still going. We've been away, and I'm not putting fault because I'm trying not to blame myself for my mental health. Putting it in a negative connotation for apologizing for feeling and going through some shit. So I'm gonna try my best not to apologize because I am 100% the reason why we didn't record last week. Why we don't have at least some episodes recorded in the bank, because we could have. And thank you. I know I don't have to thank you for your patience either, but thank you for being patient with me. And to like the 3 or 4 of you motherfuckers that listen, thank you for being patient with me too. I think the general consensus in the world is fuck. Like everything's on fire. It's like that meme with the dog at the table.
Everything's fine.
Everything's on fire. Oh, this is fine. Everything's fine. And that's how I've handled the vast majority of the 37 years I've been alive. And it has not worked out great for me. I think the dog is a little staring at you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of why we've been away for 2 weeks, because I've
been more than that.
3 weeks, 4, 5.
It's closer to a month. The last recording was 9/10.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's on my bad. I don't know exactly where you would like to go with this one, because I know that we, in the vein of where we're going.
What have you been struggling with? Why has it been a task to do this?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's not.
It is, because it's multifaceted.
That's not a loaded question.
It has a loaded answer.
No, it doesn't. It has a very matter-of-fact answer.
Well, okay.
You're overcomplicating things again.
Me? Never. In my whole life have I ever complicated anything. Thank you very much. In a nutshell, I'm finally taking care of myself. I am finally, I guess, I don't have to advocate for myself. I don't have to stand up for myself, because you have provided a very safe space for me. Whether I see it all the time because of my anxiety, but you have, because I can come to you with literally anything and you'll be like, all right, let's figure this shit out. It's just, it is my therapist. She described these as like deep core wounds. And she was like, picture your insides as kind of like a wall, just not a fancy wall, just a wall, sheetrock, all that shit. And she was like, there are things that you go through in life and they are scuffs or like small scratches in the wall. And those you can sand those down. We can get those dealt with really easy. And she said there are times where those wounds and those, I like to call it indoctrinations, because I feel I was very indoctrinated, not into a specific religion or cult or nothing like that, because it was just an individual who started all this. And while the people I have been around haven't always helped that, but I know where it started, and I'm not trying to say, oh, she fucked up my life, and because I have come out so much better than I should have.
That's you. That has nothing to do with her.
Agreed. Very agreed.
Because she's crazier than a fucking sack of cats at a fucking rocking chair factory.
I agree.
On meth.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Excuse me. Hold on. crack or something. I don't know. That way it's not too personal.
So it doesn't, But hey, everybody that knows me knows. Like, it's not a secret. So if really, honestly, and hold on. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go back to what the wound pattern that my therapist was talking about. I don't give a fuck if anyone gets their feelings hurt about the truth, because I don't talk shit. You know me. I mean, I can talk shit. I'm not saying that. But when I tell my story...
No, that's debatable as to
who you're talking to. That's fair. But if I'm just telling stories and they are factual and I'm not necessarily putting my emotion into it and how it made me feel, those are just the facts. And if you don't like the facts of my story, then you shouldn't have done the shit.
It's like what I told you last night. It's like, if I didn't want you to end up nervous about what reaction you were going to get, I shouldn't have caused that in the first fucking place. Like, I can't get mad at you now for reacting that way.
Yeah.
And not that you have. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. But, so if someone does stumble across this, or if someone I know or knows me loosely and sends it to someone and it makes it back to the originating point, I don't give a fuck. Because if you wanted me to speak better...
for the fucking disease.
Yeah. If you wanted me to speak better... then you should have accepted
positive to talk about.
Exactly. You should have taken what I told you. You should have taken how you made me feel. You should have taken all of that. All of it. And not fought me on it. Because you don't get to dictate what I felt, what I feel, and how
It's a generational thing.
It is.
Because our parents' generation is fucked.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the fact that my mom has owned up to fucking anything and actually listened.
I give her so much credit for that.
Because our family's not the most receptive people to criticism.
That, and it is a generational thing that feelings don't exist.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that we were all raised basically pure Mexican, for lack of a better term. Yes, we're the most whitewashed, as everybody will say, which I don't agree with, but whatever. But
I don't think it matters anymore.
Mental health wasn't a thing.
No.
And you didn't talk about the siblings that my grandparents had that had dementia or any kind of shit like that. It was just like, oh yeah, talked about in hushed tones and pushed to the side. It's like, and especially if someone was like in therapy or seeing a psychiatrist. Oh my God. Nobody.
Those were hushed tones.
I'm pretty sure I'm the first one in my entire family to have ever gone to therapy.
And that is tremendous. That's tremendous.
I don't know if I'd go that far. But
I think it is, because it starts somewhere. It has to start.
As far as I know, there's
a lot of family members
that would also tell you that if they have been to therapy, it wasn't fucking talked about.
No.
So either way,
because for a long time it's like, oh my God, you talked to a therapist. She'd hide the forks. She's gonna fly off the handle. It was very hushed tones, and oh, you're crazy if you had to see a therapist.
That's why I see a therapist, or did.
Hey, that we've gotten to a point with our therapist where we're like, hey, we'll call you and they have said, they've signed off on that. Be like, you know what? I feel that you are in a place where I think you'll be okay with the tools that I've provided. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Oh, I hit the table. If any of these episodes of anything I've ever said about my upbringing offends someone, accountability is there for a reason, and accountability was not taken.
Like, that's the problem. The
and the thing is that I try not to think about the situation much, just because it still enrages me of the shitty fucking tone I got the last sentence I heard that bitch say. Just the tone, and the tone I'm talking about too. Just that. So, yes.
Yeah, because God forbid you actually, I don't know, pay attention to the information you're provided as opposed to ignoring it and continuing down the self-deprecating, everybody damaging path that you have been on your entire 50 plus years.
Well, luckily I only have 2 relatives to worry about because I literally have no other relatives that I claim. Well, I barely claim them just because we don't speak. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I recently had someone ask me, and I believe I told you about the interaction where it was
Oz.
Yeah, where Oz asked, well, because there was some things on their side, and I was talking. You remember the conversation. It's not my business to tell, so I'm not going to. But then a question I asked was reciprocated when it came to
Being no contact.
And how easy it is, and if I'm doing okay. Because we're going on 3 years of no contact. In March will be 3 years. Yay. That's so light. Ooh. And I had asked the question, do you ever think about when that person passes? What feelings do you think you will have? And then that question was reciprocated to me. And I honestly, I can't say that I will not be upset. I'm not saying that at all. But I think the vast majority of my feelings in that situation would be more relief. And I got asked why. You and Oz asked some of the best fucking questions, by the way.
We don't think about shit on the base level.
By the way.
We think of like the abstract, like
Gabby also asks great questions
and
as
Gabby
well.
too. It's just like we think outside of the box whenever it comes to shit like
it's
that.
Fantastic.
Because we try to look at not the worst case. Well, I mean, I guess that would be worst case, but the most drastic example. How would I feel in this worst moment?
That is going to happen.
There. Yeah.
And it's not like it's a made-up fantasy.
It's going to fucking happen at some point.
It's not one of my anxiety hamster wheels.
Although they do say the good live forever. Or the good die young, rather. So.
I got some years. Anyway. But I think, I honestly think a lot of relief will be had, because then I know it's finite. My anxiety of contact ever again ceases to exist. You don't
have to worry about it ever again.
And I know that people are going to be like, oh my God. And you know what?
Why though? Like, what difference does it make?
Oh,
like,
I don't know.
They didn't have to grow up with the shit that you did.
Absolutely.
They didn't have to grow up with the shitty tone whenever you presented hard evidence for your case, and then we're told, oh yeah, I wouldn't trust that. Even though it's DNA scientific evidence.
Proof. 100%. I still, occasionally
That's the thing that pisses me off the most about it. It's just like, how fucking dumb are you?
Very. Excuse me while I adjust this camera. I'm sorry. The dog fucked shit up. Okay.
But it's just like, how fucking ignorant are you? You're stupid. You are every negative word in American nomenclature to describe willful ignorance.
To discredit or discount.
Science.
Not even science.
Yes, science.
Yes.
Definitely science. And it's not like this is theoretical science. This is proven hard fact.
Yes. And my thing is it's not even take the science away from it. Take everything away from it.
No, you need to put the fucking science into it, because that's your problem, because you want to give yourself up to a higher power. And how fucking good has that worked out for you?
I'm just saying. But my thing is that me, quote
unquote,
saying
that doesn't work for people. I'm just saying in her case specifically.
It
you
is
can't say
bullshit.
Jesus take the wheel whenever you have DNA evidence to prove what you're saying is fallacy.
But on top of that, if I was so important, why didn't you believe me? Why was my
She never believed
feelings...
you because her shit was more important.
Yeah.
Because her narrative that she created over these 30 plus years is more important to maintain than your peace of mind and your sanity. And that's why I got no love for that fucking bitch. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I know you don't. Like, and you haven't for
it's not going to
ever.
Change my life one fucking iota.
No.
Because we've gone, even when you were talking to her, we didn't have anything. Like, our day-to-day lives changed zero whenever you went no contact.
No.
Outside of the fact that you didn't have to look at your phone and have that existential dread.
That's exactly where I was going with that. It actually got better.
That's the only difference.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to look right into the camera. Whoever is watching this, whoever is listening to this, if someone is messaging you, calling you, whatever it is, and your immediate feeling inside of your body is dread or anxiety or you have something to look at.
Away from that
you
person.
have something to look at. You have something to evaluate there. Do not disregard that feeling because I did it for decades. So, just so you know. So with the anxiety and because of all of that, and it's really hard for me to say out loud, I have physical proof of my anxiety starting when I was 3 at least. And who knows what was before that, because they say that if you're not around caregivers or your biological caregivers, or if there's any kind of stress, even as an infant, you can be fucked. And mine didn't get better. It's not like Debbie, because, ooh.
It's not like
birth giver decided to, I understand why she wasn't around for the first 6 months much. She decided to go back to school to be a dental assistant to provide, which is fine. It is what it is. I understand. Because there's a whole fucking shit tornado about my conception, around who I was around in my life. The whole narrative of my whole entire life has been bullshit. And
you found out pieces
along the way, and I was told I was wrong. And I know people, I have to keep other people's voices in my head. Like, there are certain times where I hear you and you're just like, fuck that. And then I hear my therapist, Joe, fucking love her, because I have a problem with, I like to be Miss Petty Betty. And there are some times where I tell her, I know I'm being petty when I've talked to her in the past. And she goes, why is that petty?
No, and see, that's where she and I disagree. I know it's petty, but
justified.
Why don't you have the right to be petty in certain situations?
Yeah.
Going out of your way to make somebody's life miserable, that's a completely different fucking thing.
That's just being a cunt.
But just voicing your opinion and saying, this is fucking bullshit, that's not being petty.
This is fair. And
even if it is, so what?
Because of everything. And actually sitting and dissecting it and taking it apart and really looking at it for what it was. Those wounds is where the anxiety comes from, of feeling safe. And I've never felt safe, ever. Until, like recent, not like yesterday or anything, but like it has taken me so long to feel.
It's a more recent thing than it isn't.
That's fair. Because those are the type of wounds that Joe has said that are like, you take like railroad spikes and are carved into your wall, and they're deep, and you're going to have to patch, and you're going to have to repair, and there's extra shit that needs to go in to fix that divot, that wound in the wall. And I'm a visual learner, so being able to picture a wall with little marks, so like with a number 2 pencil, or like a magic marker, or just like a scratch, or like, our foundation in the house is kind of messed up, so we have cracks, little pieces here and there. So it's easy to visualize, like, oh, I can do something about the easy ones, but the deep ones, the fucking ones that you can see through the wall to the other room deep, those are terrifying. And I can wholeheartedly admit that I have not done as much work for me personally. One, because I was ignorant on mental health, because it is such a...
It was a taboo whenever we were younger.
It was. And the funny thing is
it was still very stigmatized.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that birth giver was like always... I remember like in like middle school, high school, like her being on and talking about her medication and how nothing fucking worked. Surprise, surprise. But whatever. So
she didn't want it to work. That's the thing. And that's the thing that scared me the most about you. It's just like you made so much peace with your pain and your darkness.
Because it's easy. It's scarily easy. But even to this day, it's easy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't just continue holding on to that shit. Like, you have to let it go at some fucking point. Otherwise, you're just going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over again. Luckily, you're not as destructive as I am whenever it comes to those cycles, but...
it is...
I'm outwardly destructive.
Inwardly
You're
destructive.
Inwardly destructive, and I am too, but nobody sees that part. But
me.
Even then, you don't fucking see all.
Well, yeah, because I'm not inside your head. You're right.
But I mean, I don't know.
Excuse me. I burped a little bit. I burped a little bit. I forgot where I was going. So when my biggest thing for my whole life, and you know this, has been safety. I've been in crazy fucking situations that I know you don't like the term, but I have gaslighted myself, whatever the past.
You have been gaslit.
I've been doing it to myself, though, because I look back on my upbringing and I look at situations that I've been in, and because of the indoctrination in the world of my birth giver, it wasn't that bad, or maybe I'm looking at it in a wrong way, or maybe
yeah, that's what happens whenever the narrative that you created as a fucking narcissistic asshole is falling the fuck apart.
Yeah, because then I can look back and I can pinpoint things and be like, no, that wasn't right.
And I know that term narcissist is thrown the fuck around, but
it is.
We watched that podcast where they broke down every single one of those goddamn traits, and
she ticked a couple boxes. I'm just
a couple.
Okay,
there was
facetious.
like 15, and she had 14.
There was a large number. I think it was maybe like 10.
And there was like,
and she had most of them.
2 were like, it was something fucking ridiculous where you just like, and it wasn't like conjecture. It was specific instances that you could point to and see every single one of those things.
The funny thing is
repeatedly, not just the one time.
That's fair. The biggest thing was people with narcissistic ideologies or tendencies making their offspring an extension of themselves. That was a huge thing. I had to be on my P's and Q's at all times because
you were representative
of
her.
Yes. I was not going to make her look bad.
Like, bitch, you make yourself look bad.
She didn't need my help at all.
No, she didn't.
But when that internal narrative of, well, maybe it wasn't, well, I have to physically look at that internally and
because
like mentally.
That's not your voice. That's her voice.
Yeah, it really is. Because then I have to, okay, since we are parents and we have kids, one that no longer lives at home, and we have our youngest is 10, it's okay. At any point in any of my kids' lives, if I were to do that, would I be okay with that? And almost any situation that she put me in, no, I would never.
Well, I mean, it'd be like dumb shit. Like, hey, we're going to this party. Act like you know how to act because these are like my coworkers or some shit like that.
Well, no, we've told the kids, hey, and it's not.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the same thing, but it's not to the extreme that you had it, is what my point. It is part and parcel.
Okay, there are minor details of like, hey, let's go ahead and behave ourselves in public.
Then maybe that's what she thought she was doing.
Maybe.
Which I don't know how you don't see the difference between the two, but
whatever. But the vast majority of the shit that I've been through, or that just minor, in her eyes, minor situations, are outlandish. Out-fucking-landish. And I would never put my kids through that. And it is not okay for me to put my kids through that. And it was not, and still is not okay, that she did that shit to me. At all. So it was never okay for her to put me in situations that she did. And it took me a long time to even acknowledge and say that out loud. You
didn't even fucking see it.
No.
You were so far in the forest, you didn't even know there were fucking trees.
No.
Like, you never noticed it until I pointed it out and been like, this ain't like, and I'm not saying I grew up the fucking best either. But if I could see how fucked up the shit was, and I just had all kinds of green flags with all types of shit I shouldn't have, there's a fucking problem. Like, a real big fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because I was of the opinion that shit happens, you got to deal with it at the time. And then I started seeing that shit, and I was like, oh, no.
No.
It's
a whole different animal.
There's different fucking levels to this shit.
There is. Incredibly. And,
like, I just had abandonment, thankfully. And I can't believe I said that out loud, but it's true. Like, say what you will about how I was raised and all that shit, but at least I still had something constant and positive teaching me what a relationship should be, what parents should be, and all that stuff.
I really wish I had someone like Grandma and Grandpa. I really do.
And Mom wasn't putting me... Well, there were certain situations, but...
Yeah.
Overall, it was just like...
It wasn't like a safety...
It wasn't fucking homeless people being brought home. It wasn't fucking addicts living in the fucking house. Shit like that. Like, that's fucking insane.
Okay, so...
That's nuts, dude.
So, I know I've talked about this, but just kind of like... now I think I think I'm at a place now where it helps me when I tell these people just regular, like just normal,
the straights.
Yeah. Certain situations, certain stories, certain things that happened all the time, certain things that happen all the time. And to see the look on their face.
But like, yo, this is a fucking Lifetime movie.
It is very reaffirming. And I should not have these stories to be reaffirmed, and I should be able to look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's fucking nuts. That's banana sandwich. When I don't know, I was in high school, the first time she had me help her steal a car back. It was hers. It was in her name. But we had to like go on a hunt.
Just break down what you just said. the first time we had to steal her car back.
I have to... I'm so thankful I can laugh about it now.
That's insane. Those three things are three separate crazy things.
And I was in high school. I was like, maybe like a junior.
So younger than Kaylee.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. A maroonish, like a darker red hue tone of car. And someone had it and wanted to give it back, and we had to find the apartments and go get it. And when I say we had to, I didn't have a choice. And I have so many things like that. So many things like that. And for someone who has never really given themselves credit for pretty much anything, it's hard for me to just be okay with me being alive. Not saying I don't want to be alive. I do not give myself credit for anything. I struggle with that because the vast majority of my life, any feeling that I was feeling, any uncertainty, unsafe feeling was just brushed aside and fuck you, we're going to do it my way anyway. I don't care how you feel. And that's what I've been told. Not by words, but by action. Of, oh yeah, I'll listen to you.
No, you were told with words too at the end.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yep.
Like, no, that's not right. Okay.
Because
I'm in my mid-30s at that point. Of course, I still don't know what perception and reality is.
No.
I'm just making shit up still,
because I'm a big
right?
dum-dum. Big dum-dum.
Well, you're looking at it wrong. Or
I'm looking at it correctly.
You're the fucking crazy one, and you've created this false narrative, and you're so deep in your psychosis that you actually fucking believe it.
And I believe she
thinks that shit. She really does think that she did right.
And my thing is that, and this is to anyone who may be struggling with what I'm about to say, your shame means fuck all. I don't give a shit about your shame. Mm-hmm. I do not care about your shame about whatever situation you caused. Don't care. And this is across the board. I don't care about anyone's shame.
Your shame ain't my fucking problem.
Yeah, because everyone knows me well enough, or should know me well enough, that I am an understanding person. I try not to judge. I don't even like to bring up things about how you used to be and haven't been in like so long. I don't even like to bring that up in conversation where it is needed and necessary.
If I didn't want you to think like that, I shouldn't have given you reason to. That is the bottom line. And I'm saying that for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have little to no patience for anybody fucking else. Because if I can say that, after all the shit that I've been through and after all the hell that I've been through, fuck you.
Yeah.
Your pride is not stronger than mine.
No. And your shame means fuck all. Because she brainwashed...
That's why I'm glad I don't have shame whenever it comes down to it.
She brainwashed herself. And that was her choice. You know? I didn't...
She wanted to live this Romeo and Juliet bullshit.
I don't know what she wanted, and I don't fucking care anymore. I don't want to... I
can tell you exactly what she wanted, because... She even said it, the star-crossed lovers thing. It's like, no, bitch, you were fucking around with a married man, and that was the best case scenario for you. Like, think about how fucked up that is. Mm-hmm. That was the fucking goose that laid the golden egg.
And that story was a fucking lie.
I mean, there was truth to it in the aspect that the relationship was had.
Fair.
She convinced herself that it was something that it was not.
Because if there was no relationship ever, then the other person involved wouldn't have thought that it was a possibility.
Correct. So there was a certain level of truth to it.
The rest of it was bullshit.
Whenever facts were presented to disprove said narrative, of course, that's unacceptable because facts and reality have no place in the storybook that she created.
And
I say it all the fucking time. I'm so happy I get to fight uphill because of that motherfucker.
Sorry.
Like, thanks for fucking that.
Sorry.
That's not your fault.
But here recently, being a mom has been difficult for me because I did leave my job. And with the world being on fire the way it is very hard for me to just exist. Even
You've never done it before.
Yeah. Even
You've
if
always consumed yourself with so much other shit that now you're having to actually deal with yourself and understand yourself, and it's not easy for you.
No.
And I understand that.
Because I've always, and like I was saying yesterday, I have always felt like, is perfunctory the correct term? Like I am just a function. I am a functioning being and not in I'm a functioning human being. I am programmed to do certain things because that's what I am made for. That's what I was created for.
Yeah.
And that, especially when it came monetarily, because I was raised by a single mother and I got told a lot that I was not going to be able to rely on anyone else, that no one was going to save me.
Which isn't true.
Yeah. Like, I mean, hell.
You have to save yourself, ultimately. I do agree with that.
I do have to do the work for myself.
That doesn't mean you have to do it the fuck alone. Like, that's the biggest thing that I've learned in this past 4 years or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't have to shoulder all this shit alone.
I pity her. And I don't mean that as I pity her.
Oh, I pity the bitch.
I pity her as in, you chose to be alone. And I understand that there's trauma, and I don't want anyone to think that
I got trauma. You got trauma.
Well, that don't fucking...
It's not just because of her.
Well, not just because of her, but it started somewhere. But I came out of a crazy straw.
That's my point. I was like, it's a choice. Yeah. Like, I could have the most successful life ever and be single. What fucking difference does it make if you don't have anybody to share it with? And I know that sounds whatever the fuck, but I'd rather be going through all the struggle here right now with you than have the life of my dreams.
And be alone.
And it's not even the life of my dreams, it's the life of
society's
other
dreams.
People's dreams.
There
and it's just like I'm not with that shit.
Yeah, no. Me neither.
I was put on this planet to be a fucking teacher, to be a parent, to do better than what I had. And I've fallen short of the mark, and I've told the kids that. I don't hide. I don't try to pretend like I'm fucking Superman or any shit like that.
The fact that we have openly talked to our children about that and have said, look, if we make you feel some kind of way, if there's something that we're not doing
or giving you, or
let us know.
We're not listening
Come talk
correctly,
to us.
Whatever the fuck.
And when they have, because they have, I mean, it's not a whole lot, but they have.
But there's not a whole lot that they need to either.
I would like to think that there isn't.
Because you can tell that they're a lot fucking happier now than whenever we weren't like this.
Yes. And over the past week, especially after today's Sunday, so Friday, there was, Kaylee was in a play. It was very personal to me, very personal to her. And after all of that, after everything, I was so happy. So happy because I was able and still am able and still trying to be better than my birth giver ever could be. Because I know 100% that all of my children feel safe.
Every single one of them. You're the dependable one, dude. Like, I'm not saying that the other three aren't. Me, Mandy and Gabriel, but you're that. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that like that's all you are. I just mean they know.
Yeah. And the fact that I was able to come from uncertainty and someone who is incredibly ill-equipped.
That's putting it fucking mildly.
The fact that all my kids, things have not been perfect, and I still.
But see, the difference is we own up to the imperfection.
Like
we tell them, "Hey, sorry," and like we've apologized to our kids on a regular basis, even before we started this self-betterment shit.
This is fair.
Because we knew we would come out of pocket occasionally.
Yeah.
And there were times that you told me that I needed to apologize. There was times that I told you needed to apologize. And there was times we figured it out on our fucking own.
Agreed. But even with and especially being I hate the word step parent. But that is the socially known term.
I don't know where the fuck that even came from either.
I don't know. I don't like it. But especially being a bonus parent.
I was called Gabriel, other dad. Because that way it's like equal footing. You know what I mean? It's like I'm this dad, he's the other dad in this situation. Yeah. And I think he says the same thing.
And I think it's really cool that with Mandy, mama, and then I'm mom. So there's a distinction, and I still get to be part of a great group of other parents. But we have worked our fucking asses off to make sure our kids feel safe and that a bunch of crazy shit isn't happening or crazy people aren't around or and she's not the only one. The birth giver is not the only person that we've cut out that would not be okay to be around our children. So I'm not trying to just pile all of the shit on her, but she is a big part of it.
Well, I mean, it was your upbringing. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. But it filled me with, I'm not proud of myself very often. And that is something I'm working on. Yes, I need to give myself credit. Yes, I need to be proud of myself because I could have been a completely different person. And we know people that I could have turned into, like the type of person.
I wouldn't have allowed that to happen. And I know that sounds
well, no, I could have become that before I even met you. That's the fucked up thing is that I could have been a totally different person.
But you were somebody that I didn't care for initially. And as your friend, I put my foot down.
That's fair.
And I was like, no, this is not long-term a good thing. It's not going to benefit you in any way. You're going to end up fucking dead, and I don't really like that idea.
But it wasn't like, oh my God, you are... I can't even think of like a nonsensical thing where you're just like, ugh, I don't like that about you. It was something very important. I was mixing painkillers and muscle relaxers and hoping for the best.
I've had friends go through a lot of shit because of addiction, and I could see it. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination.
And it wasn't a long time.
You had a lid on it for the most part. It wasn't like you were shirking other things.
But it had the potential.
It was right there to spiral out of control.
It had the potential, especially when Birth Giver was able to write prescriptions for me.
Uh-huh. And that's fucking batshit crazy.
And then I got told, well, we had a conversation about that being a problem.
Mom, at what I would consider her worst, she would have never considered writing me a fucking prescription. And just being like, yeah, go pop pills.
Well, she was getting some too, nuts? So. I know. Saying it out loud now and really... I understand that.
And the guy that was going to leave you and take advantage of you and all that fucking bullshit is the one that was telling you, hey, you're going to end up fucking killing yourself and I don't want that to happen. Yeah. You need to please stop.
Yeah.
But I'm the fucking bad guy. I'm always the bad guy in that situation because I make you see through the bullshit. I made you see through my bullshit. Like I have taken just as much of a brunt as fucking anybody. by making you stand up for yourself and be independent and all that shit. Like, it hasn't benefited... Well, I mean, it has. But, like, it didn't benefit me whenever I was doing all my dumb shit. I'm being honest.
I mean...
So I shot myself in the foot, too. I just got the added bonus of making you realize dumb shit.
I know that I don't know if I'll ever truly I hope one day that I think I'm on the right path to feel sure about myself, to not question my intuition, to not question my feelings, to validate my own feelings, because I do not validate my feelings at all.
Which is what you tell everybody else to do.
I know.
That your feelings are valid, and if you're feeling like this, it's for a reason, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah. I know. I give good advice. I don't listen to my advice, but whatever.
But you're starting to.
I'm trying. It's difficult.
You're doing way better than you were before. Like,
yes.
The fact that you're spiraling out of control on a regular basis, that tells me that you're doing the fucking work. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. I completely lost myself doing all this shit.
Yeah, it's very...
It destroys every single social construct you had in your head.
Yeah.
And everything you thought you knew, it puts everything into perspective and makes you not question everything in a bad sense, but makes you question everything in the positive sense to make it better.
Yeah, and I have to...
okay, what is missing here?
Yeah, and I have to...
Why am I thinking this? Why do I feel like this?
Yeah, I have to reaffirm.
And that's not bad, because we spent so long just going with everything and letting shit happen.
Well, because I've spent 37 years trying to take up... I mean, I know there is a lot of people who have seen me, and I am the loud one. I am the... outspoken one. I am the this or that or whatever.
I heard something the other day that just fucking floored me. The quietest guy in the room is most often the leader. The loudest one is usually the weakest link.
Yeah.
And
emotionally, and I have to...
And that, I'm not saying... You know what I mean by saying that.
Yes, you're not calling me weak, but...
You were the broken one. That's why you were so loud. That's why you always try to make everybody else feel like it was just nothing but a party and everything's fucking gravy and all that shit.
Everything's good. Everything's fine.
Because you were trying to convince yourself of it.
Yeah. And
That's just how I look at it.
I still catch myself trying to do that now, where it's just like, everything's fine.
No, the fuck it's not. The world's a goddamn dumpster fire right now.
It is.
And
like a lot.
It doesn't seem like it's going to get better anytime soon. That's why we have to work on ourselves as opposed to what the fuck are we going to do out there? Yeah. We can't do anything out there yet.
No. And it has just been... It's like watching... Okay, you know, like... Whoa, what was that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? Day After Tomorrow, where you see that big wall of water coming over New York.
Several, but yeah.
But that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm standing on a street and I see a fucking
tsunami coming towards
skyscraper wall of water looming. Because
as far as the eye can see either way, so you know that you can't get the fuck away from it.
Mm-mm. And that's what dealing with all this feels like. I feel so tiny and so small and so not insignificant, but so easily enveloped. If that kind of makes sense.
But see, the thing that you're not realizing, and this is what I've been trying to get you to notice, is I have a million fucking analogies. You use that one. It's like you know the tsunami's coming and you have the scuba gear on already, but it's still overwhelming looking at all that shit like fuck. But if you're prepared for it and you have the tools, all you have to do is just let the wave hit you and hope you don't crash into anything. Because ultimately, you're going to float back up.
And I'm going to be okay.
You'll be fine.
And I know I am.
You'll be better than you were before because you weathered that shit and you know you can survive it now.
Yeah. It is absolutely fucking terrifying, though. Because I have to combat the inner... Joe calls them my littles on the inside. And they are terrified. So it has to...
But see, it's not just that. You have the yelling parent in there, too.
Yes.
Telling them to shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down. I'm not joking. Yeah. I'm being dead serious. That's why it's so conflicting for you, because you go back and forth between those two things as well as you now.
Yeah.
And you don't know which way is up in that situation because you're trying to process it from 3 different perspectives.
Right. And it's not... Unfortunately, I can't work on one fear at a time because it's like a daisy chain where they're all kind of linked together. And if this one starts to freak out, then this one at the end of the opposite end of the line, I don't even know how. It's like setting a bunch of squirrels on fire. It's just like, that's how it ends up being.
But their tails are tied together.
Yeah. And they're all like trying to get, what's the term with rats?
Rat King.
There you go. It's like one of those. Except I would like to think that it's like less rats now. Like I'm trying to take away rats.
They're squirrels now.
Yeah. They're nice to look at. Not rats. So it's very taxing on trying to heal and reparent my inner child. And I think for a lot of that, I am getting a little further in that reparenting. And it's, I've heard a lot of reference to your pissed off inner teenager. And I think I'm getting more towards there.
You've been touching more on your anger lately.
Yeah.
And you've been letting it out in a productive manner.
I would like to think.
As opposed to a destructive manner.
Outside of me kicking empty soda boxes.
That was your dumbass fault, though. You kicked it with fucking flip-flops on. What did you expect to happen? That's why I always got tennis shoes on, because I don't know if I'm going to start kicking shit. So Fair. At least then I have a little bit of padding.
Because anger was all... I was surrounded by anger.
But your anger was also invalidated, so you never got to...
Well, my emotions in general, whether it be tear...
But it was always invalidated, so you always held it back.
Yeah.
And now you're at a place where you can let it out.
Yeah.
In a safe space where you know that I'm not going to fucking judge you for that. You've seen me fucking punch holes in walls and shit, you know? Like,
yeah.
I'm the last person that's going to judge somebody for an emotional fucking outburst. It's like, okay, but what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And you took time, you lashed out, hit the punching bag, all that fucking bullshit, screamed at the top of your lungs, and then, okay, and right back to business.
Yeah.
I think that's productive.
I would like to think so, but I'm so inexperienced and I feel stunted emotionally a lot because...
Okay, put it in perspective. You've seen me do that exact same thing. Do I just go right back? Well, now I would, but before, would I just go right back to normalcy right after that?
No, it would have been at least the rest of the day. At least. And that's not, depending on what it was.
Bleed into the next day or last the whole fucking week or ruin the weekend or whatever the fucking situation was. You handled it. You let it out. You let the pressure off that valve for just a little bit. Okay, I feel better. Go back to it. That's productive in my opinion.
Yeah, and
because so many people are afraid of their dark side and their anger and all that shit. It's like, no, that's an emotion the same way sadness is, the same way happiness is. Like, you have to let that shit out whenever it comes up.
And it's especially hard because the anger I was around was destructive.
Violently destructive.
Because there were a lot of times growing up where there would be domestic disputes and things were thrown. People were thrown. I've seen...
Hit with cars.
I was 8 when that happened. When I saw Birthgiver fucking hit a dude
You were
with a car.
younger than Logan.
Yeah. I was like 7 or 8 because it was I might have been 7 because it was the first school I went to for my 3rd grade year. And we were in a certain location in California. And I know for a fact that it would have been that first semester because the second semester I was at a different school. So I was like 7. So...
It really sucks putting numbers and ages to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's just so outrageous now. It's like, you can't write shit like this. And then...
It sounds like the antithesis of a sitcom.
It's a fucking shit show. That's the reason I've never watched the show Shameless, but it seems kind of chaotic in that sense. Maybe not... I don't know the full premise of the show, but it seems kind of like in the same vein.
I do want to watch it at some point.
So that's why and William H. Macy, come on,
yeah.
The best. But it's very, on top of just emotionally draining. There was a day, I don't even remember what day it was. I think it was like Tuesday, where I couldn't even stay awake. Like, everything has been so taxing. So and
it had to be Tuesday
because the kiddos weren't in school on Monday, so
yeah.
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
But it was just I sat down on the couch and passed out, which I do not do. Like, it just sitting, like, just existing that day was draining, and it still is, because when you have and I don't know if I'm the only one who's experienced this. I'm pretty sure I'm not. I have chronic muscle tension. And I've never been diagnosed with TMJ. I don't have the burning, really. I have a lot of anxiety here. And when I was 10 years old, my dentist told me that if I was not careful with my clenching and my grinding, that I wasn't going to have my teeth in 10 years. And no bullshit, I got my first crown within that next 10 years. And now the bottom back 2 molars on both sides are not my real teeth. They're crowns, and they've had root canals, and I have a broken tooth here because of my clenching. And so all of my muscles are like that.
It makes me fucking unclench my jaw.
Like,
I don't clench it like that. I used to grind my teeth whenever I was younger, and now I don't. I don't know what the fuck happened.
And you've seen, like, traditional... Like, I've had to move to a mouthpiece that's just up here, because the ones that are full, ones that you can, like, mold, you've seen, I literally chomp through them because that's how strong my jaw muscles are. So, and that's how the rest of my muscles are, too.
Remind me not to piss you off during a blowjob.
No teeth! No teeth!
That just for real gave me anxiety. Ugh.
But all of my muscles are like that. So, I don't know. I'm probably going to have to see a doctor on what to do about that, because I don't know. I have literal decades of tension and nonstop tension, because you've seen me. I try to stretch and it's solid the next day again. No matter what I do, it's solid, because, like, up here, it used to be all solid right there, and I can push in a little bit right there. But back here and everything else is still... I got referred to as... someone I knew was trying to be a massage therapist, and she was practicing on me. And I think I've said this before. I was compared to working on a frozen turkey. And that was when I was 19. So that's not good. Like looking at
Almost
those and
20 fucking years ago.
that hurt. But it's true.
I don't feel bad for you. I told you the other day I'm staring down the double barrel of 40. I do not give a shit about anybody else's existential crisis about age.
That's fair. Especially me who's younger than you.
Yeah, no. You still got years before you have to worry
Not
about
months.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. 4 months. 4 months. Tomorrow is 4 fucking months, and then I'll be fucking 40. I have no sympathy.
Fair.
And I have sympathy for many things and empathy for just about everything. Not that.
Yeah, that's fair. But, so all of this and releasing and starting to let go my body is on top of the mental.
Well, I mean, like last night, we stayed up until fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. You just talking about shit.
Which I still feel kind of bad about.
I don't feel bad about it in the slightest.
I know you don't. And which the more I talk, no matter what.
You woke up this morning after going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and you had a smile on your face.
Yeah.
You felt good. You were excited because your shoulders weren't fucking
as tight.
boulders and shit. Like,
yeah,
that's good. There is nothing, like, you cannot tell me that my sleep is more important than that, because it's not. I've went to sleep way later than that for dumb fucking shit.
I remember one time when I was 18, I was working at the shirt shop still. I got 45 minutes sleep and then worked out because I did silk screening and there was no AC. It was hundreds of degrees in the back. And I worked a full shift and pulled paint that whole day. And I was just like,
yeah, and I've done shit like that too. And it's just like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah. But I do appreciate that.
Last night was not stupid. Last night, I could tell, like, I was trying to wake myself up actively.
And I felt so bad. Because I was like, oh, I just hope he goes to sleep. I just hope he goes to sleep.
And then, I heard you do something. I think you might have sniffled or something. And I was like, fuck, she's crying.
I wasn't. To be fair.
Well, maybe I just heard that in order to wake myself up or something.
Well, I mean, I have sinus issues anyway.
No,
so.
like,
but at that moment, I was not
crying sniffle, like specifically. Yeah. Like, I know your shit, and I've heard things and seen things to force me to wake up for various reasons or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's what happened. It was just like, no, you need to wake up. I'm like, fuck, okay. And then I did, and then we spent the next 2 hours talking.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, in the dark of our room.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't even fucking see each other.
No.
That might have helped, by the way.
Yeah, it does. I still really, 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 really want to try a deprivation tank. I think that would be so much fun. You and I have
very different opinions on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're the fucking genius that wants to take fucking edibles and then go sit in that bitch. Yes. I'm the motherfucker that knows I'll have a fucking panic attack without that shit.
Ooh, yeah. If I ever get the chance, fuck yeah, 100%. The biggest thing, my biggest barrier as of right now, on top of continuing to trust the process and trust in myself, because I've never had to trust in myself because I just went along with what everyone else wanted. Because everything's fine. If I just do this, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine.
That's what I've been telling you, dude. Like, no, it's okay. Yeah. Like, if I'm doing things to upset you or bother you or whatever, even if it's not the thing itself that's upsetting you, fucking tell me.
Yeah. Because on top of just the difficulty of talking, I am also having to combat the inner birth giver style voice. I don't hear it in her tone of voice, thankfully. Unfortunately, it is my voice I hear. But I have to combat in those moments, especially with heightened emotion, because I still question my feelings. Is he going to get tired of me? Is this going to be it? is this going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back? Is this going to be the reason why
No,
he's like,
the
fuck
straw
it, I'm
that
not
breaks the
doing this
camel's
anymore.
back is
Me
not
stopping.
trying,
Yeah.
is not giving a fuck, is not putting in the effort and the work, and
Yeah.
everything that I've told you that, hey, I would really appreciate it if you da-da-da-da-da, or stop doing whatever.
Yeah.
You have made a conscious effort to try to appease me in that situation, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, that's why our relationships lasted this fucking long. Because we actively hear each other say shit like that, and it means something to us in order to keep the other person fucking happy.
And because me ultimately, quote unquote, having no one has been ingrained in me since birth. Really, if I want to look at it and be honest about it. Because birth giver has literally took me away from everyone. I say I have no relatives because I don't have relatives. And
some of it was justified.
Some of it was justified because as she was an addict of, I don't know if, I don't, see, I should probably have gone to, what is it called? For children of addicts. Al-Anon?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know if that's what it is, but
it sounds familiar because she did go to NA and AA at times. And I think those programs, they work for some. I think that
it brainwashes some fucking people too.
It does. But it is what it is,
because
and
of
that's
the
not my
religious
hill.
aspect. And it's not that I have anything against religion. It's just people focus too much on that part instead of the
accountability part on their end.
Part of it, and that because they just let it go and leave it up to God. It's like okay,
it's let go and let God.
I understand the sentiment. I really fucking do. However, that's been my big gripe with religion. It takes away the personal accountability factor.
But what no one... And this is... You know me. I am not a religious person. I have questioned religion my whole life. That I've been introduced to religion. Even in the book you read, it says that your God is not going to help you unless you help yourself. So therefore, everyone
leaving it up to God, he's just going to be like,
okay,
you didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything to help the situation either. So, but a lot of people just...
And that's the ones that get thrown into it and they know nothing about it, and then all of a sudden they're saved. It's like, no, you didn't go on a spiritual journey to find these fucking answers. Yeah. You were at rock bottom and
someone gave you a flashlight
out.
Yeah.
And
to be the light at the end of your tunnel.
Motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Like, if you find God older in life, more power to you, but it has to be for the right fucking reasons.
Yeah. And that's why
because typically the people that go into the Anons and all that shit, they come out and they're holier than fucking thou. Yeah. And they can do no wrong, and they throw it in people's faces.
I've met some
and shit like
that
that.
Are like
I
that.
cannot fucking stand that.
And again, for the people that the program has worked for,
and it's been a lot,
great.
And that's awesome. But it has created some fucking assholes too.
It's created some animals, feral animals, and I know some of them, or have known some of them, I should say.
But then you look at somebody like, well, I'm not going to put him out there by name, but you know who I'm talking about, our white boy. It's just like
I am so proud of him.
He found
so proud of him.
God himself.
I mean, it was present.
It was present, but he really leaned into it and he found his purpose in it.
Yes, and has incorporated it.
Become sober, and it's like a whole new leaf for him. And it's not like in my opinion, he was always
a good
dad, good dude. He was like me. He had his fucking demons.
Yeah. And
he found it the right way.
Yeah.
Because it had the answers that he was looking for, and he does not hold it over anybody.
No.
Like, none of that shit. He does it the way that I see Grandma did it. Because she was the holiest fucking person I have ever met in my entire life. And not once did she make me feel guilty for not going to church. Not once did she make me feel guilty for not having religion or whatever. She understood me and knew that I don't need that. That's not my path. My path is different.
Yeah, but she also knew that to always just be there and supportive.
Yeah, and
that's all that you needed.
If you want to come back,
cool,
you
I'm
got
here.
an in. Like,
you can come sit right next to me.
I'm not going to stop praying for you. Yeah. Like, none of that shit.
And
which I never minded, and I never minded her blessing us either.
No, I actually...
Even the most heretical I ever was, I would always joke, like, oh, I'm going to burn. But... even she got a fucking chuckle out of it. It pissed everybody else off, but if Grandma laughed, I don't really give a fuck.
She understood, though.
She was like, stop saying that. And she laughed and then moved on.
Oh, and his wife is one of my favorite people on the face of the planet. And she's amazing. And even in that vein, I struggle there, and I've talked to you about that because religion
once that happened, that she was going to look at you a different type of way.
Yeah, because previously...
which I told you wasn't fucking going to happen.
With Birthgiver and other people. Religion was more or less weaponized against me to make me feel...
And see, I had a very different experience with it. Like, I didn't jive with it personally, but everybody that I was around that was religious didn't weaponize it.
Because
I mean, the church did, definitely, because you do this, you're going to burn in hell, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't that in the home. And I think that has helped me with my jadedness towards it. Realizing it, rather.
Because, again, it was weaponized through fear. And I have spent 37 years in fear of not just religion, but of being alive, life itself. Just being a human being has been terrifying for me. And I've been filled to the brim with anxiety and fear this whole time. And when the person who gave birth to you says out loud that my lack of faith in her God made her struggle to have a relationship with me,
that's a problem.
That's not okay. No. And then another person that I viewed as a parental figure flat out told me, because I was not a believer, I was going to burn in hell, which was fucking rich considering she was a lesbian. And Catholic. Well, actually, she grew up Catholic. I don't know if it was if she's turned to like a non-denominational, regardless of what it is. I was told by someone who is part of a group who is marginalized to this day that I'm going to burn in hell because I didn't believe in the God that she believed in is out fucking rageous. So when people tell me that they're going to pray for me, or I hear it
automatically it sets the hairs on the back of your neck
because it's scary, because it's made me lose people.
See, it's the exact opposite for me. Whenever somebody says that they were going to pray for me, it was Grandma saying that she was going to pray for me, and she always made it the point that I'm praying every day anyway.
I'm just going to throw your name in the hat.
No, saying. Like praying for me specifically every day. And just like, okay, let's just add this new thing to it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so it always made me feel better. It's like, I don't agree with it, and it's not my thing, but
it never made me feel better. And I'm telling you,
it always made me feel better because I knew the intent from the person.
When I was younger, I think we went to mass when we were with that person that told me I was going to burn in hell. I think we went to mass once that I can remember. It wasn't like we went to mass every week.
I didn't go to mass once that I remember as a fucking kid until 8th grade.
Yeah. So
every week, like,
so religion as a whole was not brought into my life until I moved to Texas in 1995. And it wasn't immediately either. I started the 4th grade. I made a friend. And her parents invited birth giver and I don't even know the other guy, that fucking sack of shit. It was, oh, well, they invited us. We're going to go. Failed to tell us it was a Pentecostal church.
That's just terrifying if you don't have a heads up.
I immediately started questioning shit. Immediately. And birth giver knew that I immediately started questioning shit. Because I had already, at the age of 9, had already been through so much shit. I was like, this doesn't fucking make sense. This does not make sense to me. As a 9-year-old child, it was, why am I having to go through this then? What did I do? What's wrong with me? I can't do anything right. And it fed into a lot of other narratives of I needed to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. And so from a very young age, I have tried to take up as little space as possible, try to make myself as small as possible in a lot of situations. With that being said, I struggle with knowing how to take up space. I don't know how to just be. And that's taxing emotionally. Just from a self perspective, to see myself in the mirror, it's like, well, I don't know how to just be. And then on top of everything being so emotionally and mentally draining and taxing, the physical side effects, the muscles, everything's starting to release. I don't know how much, I don't know the science behind it. I don't know about releases of lactic acid. I don't know, because tightening muscles create lactic acid. I understand that, but internally has been a struggle too. Like physically with my innards has been devastating lately. And it also turns into, okay, well, let's not be a hypochondriac. So it has just been exponentially harder because it's a culmination of mentally, emotionally, physically, all at once. And it's not like I get to compartmentalize those things. I don't get to do it step by step. There's no step by step for this process for anyone. I'm not just saying that there should be for me and there's not for everyone else. I'm just saying it's all encompassing, and it's really...
Well, some people can do it step by step, but
this bitch
mine was exactly what you're describing. It was like one domino fell, and then the rest of them went right
and
behind
like
it. And then it just becomes overwhelming. Like, where do I start? And it's like, no, you're looking at it wrong. You don't have to address them all at the same time.
Yeah.
All you have to do is neaten them up. That's it. And then start talking. And then it picks through itself.
The only unfortunate side effect of the way that we have to approach things is that I kind of feel like I'm walking through a minefield or
and you don't know what's going to set you
yeah.
off. Yeah. No,
like last night was a complete thing. Like it was, I didn't know. And I mean, I found out obviously, but so it is going to take time, and I know I'm going to get there, and I know that I'm not stopping because I've already come so far. And I don't want to do a disservice to myself.
That's what I told you whenever you were in labor with Logan. You're like, I can't do this. I was like, I don't think you have a fucking choice. Like,
shit.
This is happening whether you want it to or not. Like, you're already in the thick of it. Like, it's going to be over. Like, I know it seems like it's not going to be
right now,
but ultimately
it will.
You will be fine, and you will be better on the other side of it.
Yeah.
It's hard to realize that in the thick of it, though.
It is. And like I told you yesterday, I feel like I'm going crazy because I feel like...
You've seen me go crazy. You have literally seen it happen. You have seen me lose my grip on reality, and you haven't done that. You've had shades of it, for sure, but I completely lost my grip on reality and who I was.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I existed anymore. That's how fucking far my grip on reality went.
Yeah. And that was scary too. But and that was only from my side, and I can only imagine it.
You don't have that same thing happen. Because you internalize things differently than I do.
Yeah, I hope I don't have to go through that either, but I am starting to fully like feel inside that even if I do go through that you are going to be here for me and not let me feel alone in it. That even though you may not be able to say anything to make me feel better or to do anything to make anything easier for me, I know that you do not mind and will always just sit next to me and hold my hand.
That's what you did for me. I mean, you talked to me too, but
even if there's no words to be said, and
just having you there whenever I was going through it made it better. And it gave me, like I told you, during all of that, the only thing I was able to focus on was you.
Yeah.
And that was what brought me back.
And it is very nice to finally kind of shut that voice up inside my head of no one's going to love you like I will. No one's going to be there for you like I will.
Nobody's going to love you the way that she did. Because I actually give a fuck. And I actually will take the time and effort to try to make your life easier and listen to you and take your feedback and do something productive with it instead of internalizing it and making it that you're attacking me or that you're calling me a liar or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff anymore. I care about your peace of mind, your happiness. And if you're telling me that I am doing something incorrectly or you would like me to do whatever, that's what I'm going to do. Because I love you. I love you unconditionally. It's not just on the good days. It's not any of that shit. It's every single day. It's the slumps. It's the doldrums of marriage. It's all of that shit. I'm not going anywhere.
And I know it's been almost 12 years, and I feel bad for... I know that there's no timeline, but I feel bad for getting there later. Then
do I need to put this in perspective again?
No, you don't.
I'm going through this at 39. You were 37. Technically, you're ahead of me. I'm just saying. If you really want to put numbers on it and shit like that, you are ahead of where I was at your age. That was only 2 years ago. But still, you got a 2-year head start. So where are you going to be at this time? Whenever you're looking down the barrel of 40 like I am right now. And I'm willing to bet you're going to be further along than I am at this point.
And even if I'm not...
it doesn't matter, but I'm saying you're trying to turn it into a competition, but you're not looking that you started the race 2 years later. How were you going to be in the same spot?
That's fair.
Like, just...
And I know it's not a competition. I also struggle with inferiority. That's a whole other episode. But anyway, thank you. I know I don't have to thank you because I know that you know what you signed up for and what you actually want from me. And
we didn't hide our crazy from each other. No. We became friends first, and we had very honest and frank conversations. Yes. So by the time we got together, we knew that there was going to be a shitstorm somewhere.
There was some work to be done.
We knew it. And like initially, I didn't even want us to be together because I knew that there was shit that we had to work through individually. Mm-hmm. And maybe we exacerbated it a little bit by getting together immediately. But at the same time, I would do it all over again.
Same.
Because I didn't have to go through all that shit by myself. I had somebody that loved and cared about me legitimately and not just saying it, but proving it, not through words, but through actions and supporting me through all of it and being there for me.
Yeah. And thank you for being a partner in my life, making me feel that.
I always hated that term
partner?
Before you. Like, I was like, well, it's your wife. And now it's just like, no, I get why that term exists. Because there's wives, there's girlfriends, and there's partners. Yeah. The partner is what everybody should fucking look for.
Yeah.
Because we have been through every manner of hell and back multiple times.
Yeah.
And we're still fucking here. Like, we were forged by fire.
We are some strong
literally
bitches.
in some situations.
Yeah.
I have no regrets on how any of this shit has played out.
I don't either, but
I wish I would have wised up a little bit earlier, but that I have to look at as it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it then.
It's
or
just
maybe
like,
I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know. There's a million different possibilities.
Just like any person who's dealt with someone who is an addict, you can't force anyone to do anything, addiction or not. You can't force people to get to somewhere that you're expecting them to be on a timeline that they don't know of. And I'm so happy that I have you as a life partner, as a husband, as my friend, my best friend. That
I was going to say that bar is pretty fucking low.
Hey.
Sorry.
But thank you. I know there's still some road ahead of me, but I'm not as scared as I used to be. And I think that's positive steps forward because I know that you've got my back and not every day is going to be perfect. But I actually am starting to feel that I can say some outlandish shit, not directed towards you, not like attacking you, but I could say...
You can say exactly what's in your head and it's not going to make me be like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. And that's...
Because I've heard the shit that's come out of my mouth.
It does bring a lot of peace, though.
Like, anything that you could possibly say, I have said and or thought 10 times worse.
Fair.
And you have heard me say it and just looked at me like...
Dude.
I get that that's a thought, but you should probably not said that one out loud.
How about we just keep that one between you and I? Let's not say that in the group.
Well, I don't say it to fucking everybody.
But,
I fuck up and say certain shit in front of the kids sometimes. Just like, oh, fuck.
Jesus Christ, babe. Why?
Shouldn't have said that one.
But,
they know I'm not really going to fucking stab them in the hand with a fork.
That was so long ago, but that
Thank
still gets
fucking
brought
God.
up so much. But, yeah. So to kind of just tie everything up, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I love you so much. And I'm glad we get to go through this together. Because this would be scary shit. I mean, it's scary shit with you, but it would be even scarier if I had no one. And I feel like I am becoming more confident in myself piece by piece, day by day. And anyone who is feeling the way I'm feeling, the thing, or going through the things that we've gone through, you're not alone. And no matter if someone has told you that no one else is going to be there for you like they will, or no one else is going to love you like they will, or that they're just going to abandon you, or they're just going to do this, whatever have you, that's not true at all. Because
I mean, it might be, but you don't know that, and a person can't tell you that.
Yeah. And it really shouldn't be words that come from your mother. So anyway, if anyone ever needs help, we're here. I do have resources.
Can recommend some books.
Can recommend a therapist. We have resources, or we know of resources. So you're never alone, no matter what anybody tells you. So yeah, until next time, and whatever nonsense we talk about next episode. Peace out. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like the show or know somebody who would, please subscribe and share to help us grow the show. You can follow us on all socials at That Infernal NPC. You can listen on YouTube and Podbean at That Infernal Noise or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.